So now the seminar is recording, and hopefully I can turn off transcription. I don't know if I can stop transcription. There we go. Excellent. I think I've turned off the transcription. So for everyone, just to make sure we are on the same page, welcome to the Indiana District Export Council Lunch and Learn Indiana Export Resources webinar. You've come to the right place, and we're excited to have you join us today. We have a great group of speakers on the line and on the webinar today. Just as a few housekeeping issues, we're going to ask folks to mute your mic if you are not speaking. That will be great, and mute your camera or turn off your camera just to preserve bandwidth. If we have everyone on the line, that will allow us to make sure we don't have a choppy signal. That would be our goal. We are recording this program, so at the beginning we want to make sure that everyone knows that if you have any problems or difficulties with recording the session, you're free to log off now. But this program will be recorded as a part of the Indiana District Export Council Lunch and Learn series. My name is Mark Cooper. I'm the director of the U.S. Department of Commerce here in Indiana, and we're excited to have you joining us this afternoon, and excited to have our speakers and panelists present to us many of the export opportunities that are available to you right now here in Indiana. My name is Mark Cooper again, and I'm the director of the U.S. Department of Commerce office here. My job is to help Indiana companies export their products, goods, and services around the globe. And so our hope as part of these educational programs is that we can work with our great partners across the state to let you know of opportunities and resources available to you. We do this program in conjunction with the Indiana District Export Council, who will have my colleague Andrew Ranke talk about that. And I'm going to turn it over to him to tell you about some programming and the District Export Council. So without any further ado, I'll turn it to you, Andy.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Welcome, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Andrew Ranke. I serve as the chair for the Indiana District Export Council. And a little bit about what we do and who we are. The Indiana DEC, as commonly referred to, is a not-for-profit organization created under the auspices, as Mark mentioned, of the U.S. Department of Commerce. Each state in the union has at least one. DEC members are volunteer international trade professionals representing manufacturing, service, government, and academic sectors, all appointed by the U.S. Secretary of Commerce to assist and train small businesses in promoting U.S. exports. Joining us today are a few of the other Indiana DEC members: Daryl Floyd from Wood-Mizer, Lloyd Porter from Cook Group in Bloomington, Raju Shintala from the IEDC and the Indiana India Business Council, and Christine Everett, IU Cyber, also one of today's panelists and speakers. Thank you, as always, to our collaborative partners who happen to be largely represented on today's panel, including the U.S. Department of Commerce with Mark, the SBA, Exim Bank, ISBDC, IU Cyber, and the Indy Chamber. This is our first Export Lunch and Learn webinar for 2022. As Mark mentions, it's a new series we began last year in response to COVID. It's a way for all of us to keep connected and still learn about export programs and relevant things happening in international trade as we go through COVID. These webinars are probably going to be continued after we come out of this because they're popular. We have about 100 people signed on today. They're offered every other month beginning in January on the third Thursday of those months through November. As it is January, it's a new year, it's appropriate to gather all the export assistance resources and programs at the federal, state, and educational levels available in Indiana to discuss what's new in 2022, what's changed for trade policies and grant guidelines, particularly in the areas funded by the Indiana State Trade Expansion Program, commonly referred to as INSTEP. which is that grant program that allows eligible Hoosier businesses to receive reimbursement for specific export-related activities. Appropriately, to get things started, we'll hear first from Roger Howard, who serves as INSTEP's manager in his role as the International Trade Manager at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Roger's done an exceptional job getting this revised program launched in the state over the past couple of years. So it's my pleasure to introduce Roger Howard.
Thanks, Andrew, and thanks, Mark, for all you guys do to organize this event today and get things kicked off for 2022. It's exciting to start things out, and let me pull up my slides real quick, and we will get going. All right. So my name is Roger Howard. I'm the International Trade Manager here at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. And part of my role, I oversee the Indiana State Trade and Export Promotion Program, which is what we refer to as INSTEP. So it launched in January of 2020. So it's about a 2-year program now, and we're very excited for the results that it's had for the state. So we'll get into some details here, and of course, happy to take questions after things wrap up. But what is the INSTEP grant program? So the Indiana State Trade and Export Promotion Program was launched to help assist small businesses to develop and expand their export opportunities globally, simply enough, in a way for us to open new markets for Hoosier-made goods and products around the world. As I mentioned, the program launched in January of 2020. Of course, 3 months later, we unfortunately were hit by COVID, as was the rest of the world. So we had to do some pivoting, and I'll get into some of the details on how we did that. But the program launched with an initial 2-year grant from the U.S. Small Business Administration. We have received an extension on that, so that's why we're in our 3rd year. And it is a state and federal match program. So right now we have $660,000 available for small businesses. And then, the INSTEP grant program, you might be wondering, what is it? What can it do for my business? So the INSTEP grant program offers eligible companies, and I'll get into what is eligible, reimbursements on costs associated with export activities such as international trade shows, foreign trade missions, website globalization, translation services, on and on. And like I said, I'll get more into that here in just a second. But, like I said, with COVID hitting initially, it was kind of a slow start, but I know there's probably businesses on this call today that have used the program, and I think they could speak for what it has been able to do for them thus far. So eligibility for the program, there's really 5 main components to this. A business must be in operation for at least 1 calendar year. It must be a business that is either new to exporting or a market expansion firm. So, and what I mean by market expansion is a business can already be exporting in a certain country for 50 years. We're just seeing that the company is trying to further their interest and development in that market. So don't get too caught up on that. I know I get questions about that frequently. And then additionally, the business and recipient must be a client of the Indiana Small Business Development Center. And I know my colleague Morgan Allen will be able to speak to her role and the role of the ISBDC in INSTEP and what they can offer businesses, but that is something required moving forward. Additionally, the business must be a small business. So we categorize small business from the U.S. SBA size standards. There's a website, and I know we have some of our SBA colleagues on the call that can kind of explain that process. That is something a business will self-identify, and I think everyone on this call is happy to help with that process to understand where you're at in the mix. Additionally, a small business must produce whatever their good or service is that they're planning to export. It must be composed of at least 51 U.S. made material. This includes raw materials itself, but also some of the intellectual property, the value add onto that. So it's not just raw material. It extends deeper. And of course, I think everyone on this call today is happy to help navigate that for your business and understand what that means. Some of the export activities that are eligible through the INSTEP grant program, we put things into different silos. That's mostly to kind of show what the funding is, because as it is a federal state-funded program, there's certain federal guidelines we must adhere to, and some activities are capped at different expenses, and we'll get to that. But what we label as option 1 activities are international trade shows, international trade missions, website globalization, search engine optimization, and then our newest service that we've included is the Export-Import Bank EXIM export credit insurance premiums. We are able to reimburse those, so that's very exciting and something we're looking forward to work with our partners from EXIM. Option 2 activities include U.S. Department of Commerce services, so this can be Gold Key, the variety of matchmaking tools they have at their disposal. Also export training, that's kind of our broad bucket, but we're always happy to, if there's a training program or something a business is interested in that will help them, we're happy to kind of look at what that is and approve as needed. And then we have export research tools, subscription tools that are kind of an annual thing we can help reimburse. And then what we put in option 3, that includes the product compliance testing or certification for a product. If you have something you're exporting to Europe, there's different test and compliance regulations they might have on that certain industry or sector. We can help offset the cost that it might take to get that certified. And then the translation of services that can be digital or print, we can reimburse as well. And then businesses, you don't have to pick just one option, one thing from the option. You can mix and match. You can easily attend a trade show and then also use U.S. Department of Commerce services when you're going to that trade show, and then have your print material translated into a different language. So you can choose multiple mix and matching. We're happy to have people do that. And I do want to make a point that on international trade shows, we also do reimburse for domestic trade shows, so long as there's an international component to that. We judge that on a case-by-case basis, but that is something that has been popular through our program thus far, as COVID kind of remains a little bit burdensome to travel international, but we wanted to make that note. The reimbursement of activities. So as you will see, a business is able to have 80% of their eligible expenses reimbursed, not to exceed $12,500 annually. So that's what we set for our program here in Indiana. If activities from option 1 are eligible to receive 80% reimbursement, not to exceed $10,000. So again, option 1, that's trade shows, trade missions, website customization, EXIM premiums. Option 2, also 80%, not to exceed $2,500. So this is U.S. Department of Commerce, also export training, and then export training tools in subscriptions. We actually have that capped at $2,000 per federal guidelines. And then there's a typo here, but under option 3 here, that's the translation and compliance testing. We can reimburse 80%, not to exceed $6,000. And going back to, the previous slide and this slide as well, I wanted to make it clear that, you might be interested in pursuing an activity that you didn't see listed. Don't be discouraged. Please reach out. If you think, well, I have this activity, I don't know if it meets this, genre or whatever else. Happy to always talk with businesses to see what we can do, even if it's not listed. We want to make sure this program is working for small businesses across the state and helping achieve export goals. So I want to make sure that that's clear. And you might be thinking, what are the next steps in terms of applying and getting forward? Well, luckily, this cargo manager here is pointing us to the right direction with these links here. So one of the first things you'll want to do is make sure you're a small business. You can confirm this through the size standards website that the SBA provides. Of course, happy to help a business with that. I know all of us on this call are today. Additionally, you'll need to register with the Indiana Small Business Development Center. My colleague Morgan Allen, she'll allude to what that includes, but that's the easy process. We work with the ISBDC hand in hand on this program. That it's a network of small business advisors across the state, and we'll make sure we can get you taken care of. And then, of course, you can apply through our InStep application portal, which is online. And it's fairly easy just to walk through that. We'll basically ask for your business information, what is your export history, and then what activity you plan to pursue. So pretty easy to walk through. We ask for some documentation just to verify your business is in good standing with the state of Indiana in terms of Department of Revenue and Workforce Development. But usually we try to turn things around in a 2-week period, maybe even quicker, depending on how things work. From there, I shouldn't mention this previously, reimbursements, it is a reimbursement. So we only will fund your activity once it is fully completed and reimburse you once that is confirmed. So we, of course, want to see your application before the activity starts. We can do retroactive reimbursements as well, but it's always a good thing, especially moving forward towards the end of the year. If you have an activity you want to apply for, please go ahead and think about applying so we can go ahead and kind of distribute that funding and know what we're working with moving forward. So that's kind of a big, a lot of information very quick. I'm happy to provide my slides. Afterwards, you can see my contact information on the upper left-hand side of the slide. I'll make sure as we run through the presentation, I'll put my email address in the chat just because these slides are going to be taken down. And of course, I know we're going to do questions after everyone presents. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box in advance. But I appreciate everyone's time and look forward to working with your business moving forward. And I think now I will be turning it over to Lindsay Malici with the USSBA here in Indiana. So thank you guys, and I'll exit off my screens now.
Thank you so much, Roger. All right. So I'm not seeing my PowerPoint here in the share content area, so maybe we'll just, oh, there we go. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lindsay Malici with the U.S. Small Business Administration here in the Indiana District Office. Want to say how proud we are to co-underwrite the InStep program along with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. IEDC, with Roger managing this program, has done a phenomenal job of delivering these funds to our Indiana small business exporters. So I'm standing in today for our District International Trade Officer, Eric Armacost, who couldn't be here today, but I've worked with InStep and food export programs in the past, and I'm happy to be here just to give you a brief rundown of the Small Business Administration, and then kind of lead into our export focused programs with our Export Finance Manager. So the U.S. Small Business Administration is an independent federal agency. We've been around since 1953. And if we could just all make sure we're muted, I would really appreciate that to cut down on the feedback. Thank you. And what we do at the Small Business Administration is help small businesses start, grow, expand, and recover their businesses. So you probably have heard a lot about our recovery programs over the last couple of years, but we also have counseling. So I know we have some of our counseling partners on the line here today. Hi, Lori. Hi, Dom. Hi, Terry, and anyone else I missed. But we have free business counseling, or I should say taxpayer-funded services. So get a return on your tax dollars and go see our small business counselors at the Indiana Small Business Development Center. SCORE mentors. We have 2 women's business centers in Indiana, in Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, as well as a veterans business outreach center out of Michigan that helps our Indiana veteran and military spouse business owners. Oh, Jennifer, trying to take my presentation away from me, but I'm going to go ahead and deny that request to take control. No worries there. But in addition to our counseling, and those counselors do have folks who are trained in export counseling that you can go to for assistance with exporting or whatever else it is that you want to work on in your business. We have a capital pillar at the SBA, which probably most people know us for, is our SBA guaranteed loan programs. So we have an array of loan options from micro loans up to $50,000 through our nonprofit mission-based lenders in Indiana, all the way up to $5 million SBA guaranteed loans available through our lending partners. So maybe you've already been through the InStep program and you're ready to to expand your export offerings and you're looking for additional funding, my colleague Romy is going to talk to you all about that and what is available through the SBA Export Loan Guarantee Programs. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Romy Ancog.
Lindsay, thank you for that great overview, and thank you to the Indiana DEC for hosting us today. It's great to be able to talk to everybody. As Lindsay said, what SBA is probably best known for, we do so many great things for small businesses, but we're really known for our finance programs. SBA by far is the largest access to capital for small businesses across the country. And access to capital is easily one of the largest hurdles or obstacles that every small business has. That's especially true when you start selling internationally and you start exporting. Your local bank programs and even traditional SBA loan programs really aren't equipped to handle the types of situations that you're facing as exporters. So because exporting is a strategic focus of the entire federal government, we have it's a very focused, but a very critical role here at the SBA in that we're here to provide the necessary financing or funding that exporters need to grow their international business. That comes in a number of different forms, and we have a number of specific loan programs designed to address that. Probably the biggest need that we see on a day-to-day basis is the need to fulfill export orders. So you've been through InStep, you've gotten great counseling from IEDC, you've got you're out there and you're starting to make sales. Okay, then you have to start to, and then you get back to your office and you say, this is great. How am I going to pay for all of this? Okay, we see this far too often, and your local bank programs or standard line of credit can't fund things like foreign accounts receivable, or if you've got that large one-off sale, let's say you're an automotive supplier following your tier 1 supplier down to Brazil, and and they come in with a large order for your product, you may not have the capital to fulfill that, and your normal bank lines of credit aren't going to be able to work around the foreign aspects of this. So our flagship program in Office of International Trade is the Export Working Capital Program, EWCP for short, and that is designed specifically to fulfill export orders. It can help expand financing on your assets now, or it can even be used transactionally, and it can be used as purchase order financing, where we can finance that specific loan, or that specific purchase order with one advance, 100% of your costs, up to 90% of the face value of that purchase order. So that's something that is not typically seen. Okay, that's very unique to this specific program. Along with fulfilling export orders, businesses face financing needs to grow their exports, and our Export Express program is very well designed for that. That's it's a smaller program. It only goes up to $500,000, but the banks are able to. It's designed to be very quick and easy to use for the banks. It's actually very flexible because it can be used for smaller orders. It can be used for term loans and things. It's kind of a jack of all trades loan program, but for simpler, smaller transactions. So we do have flexibility in having, for those simpler deals, being able to deal with them quickly. Lastly, if you're a business that's really growing and you actually need to grow, along with meet your orders, you need short-term working capital to meet your orders. You may also need long-term working capital or or capital acquisition needs and need to actually grow your capacity. So that could mean acquiring long-term inventory. That could mean getting equipment. That could mean expanding your physical plant. Our international trade loan is well suited for that also. So those are kind of the biggest needs, financing needs we see from exporters. And these are the loan programs that we have that's designed to, to meet those needs that exporters have. An important note is that, we're not the actual lenders in any of these situations. We work through the banks and the credit unions in your area. That's what I spend my days doing, talking to bankers about how to structure these deals. I'm the lead export finance manager. I cover Indiana and Michigan and northern Ohio. So if as you continue to grow and as your financing needs, continue to expand, please reach out to us. We're happy to help structure those deals so you can get the money you need to keep growing. That's all that I have at this time. I'm going to pass it, the presentation to Mark Klein from the Export-Import Bank of the United States.
Fantastic. Thanks, Romy. I do not have a presentation. I'm actually calling in from Las Vegas. There's a very large trade show called the World of Concrete. Any companies affiliated in that type of industry. I'm out here walking the trade show, so dialing in this morning. But if after the presentation, I'll hang around for questions and answers. But if you need to get a hold of me, Mark Cooper and Andy can give you my email address and my cell phone number, and you can reach out to me. I just want to cover Ex-Im Bank. We have a variety of programs. We have a working capital program similar to what Romy just described with the SBA. But what I really want to focus on today is our export credit insurance, commonly referred to as foreign accounts receivable insurance, for the simple fact that for the first time in the 9 to 10 year history of the STEP grant program, this is the first year that Ex-Im insurance premiums are actually a reimbursable expense. And that's kind of a big deal for us because we've been fighting for it, for many years now. But we finally convinced the SBA to be able to include that. And just a brief overview, I could dig into this a lot deeper, but just because we want to make sure we leave plenty of time for everybody else and questions and answers. For most U.S. companies, including the ones that I'm visiting with out here at the show, when you talk about exports and the question of how do I get paid for my exports, plan A is usually, well, you're going to pay me cash up front. I'm not shipping this until I'm paid in full. I don't want to take any risk on exports. And I'm going to tell you that if you can get cash up front before you export, don't change a thing. That's fine. Perfect. Don't make it too much more difficult. You just got to know that in some markets, that cash up front is going to be a real problem. In some countries, it's frankly illegal. There are a few countries that the central banks will not allow advance payment on products. They will not allow release of hard currency until your buyer can document that the product has been received in country. So sometimes cash up front's not going to work. Plan B is a letter of credit. I'm a former letter of credit banker. I'm going to tell you that letters of credit are just fine. If you understand them and your banker understands them and your buyer understands them, letters of credit are great. But you're going to run into situations to where, especially if you're dealing in Latin America, Africa, parts of Asia, you're going to have customers that want supplier credit or open account terms. They're going to want you to ship product to them with payment due 60, 90 days after date of export. Scares most U.S. exporters to death until I get involved. I can put insurance in place. I can take a look at that foreign account receivable. I can look at the buyer. I make sure the buyer's creditworthy. I can put a policy in place that provides up to 95% coverage, which basically means that if you're giving a customer 60 days from date of export to pay, I insure it. If they don't do what they're supposed to do, I'm going to pay you 95% of what's owed to you. So you've transferred all but 5% of that payment risk over to the U.S. government. Everything I touch, full faith and credit of the U.S. government. It's very inexpensive. One of the myths of export credit insurance is that it's real pricey. It's not. It's dirt cheap. It's very inexpensive. And I'll kind of run through an example of that real quick here in a minute. It's even cheaper than dirt cheap now, because under the STEP program, 80% of that premium that you pay for my insurance coverage is now going to be reimbursable under STEP. So what does that mean in real numbers? Let's run through an example. You've got a $100,000 invoice. You're shipping product to an individual or a company in Mexico, and they're going to pay you 60 days from the time that it crosses the border into Mexico. I'm going to put insurance in place. It's going to be, I'll probably try to structure it under one of our multi-buyer programs, which gives you 95% protection. So $100,000 invoice payable in 60 days. I'm going to provide 95% protection. I'm going to charge you somewhere around 0.55%. So under normal circumstances, insurance on that $100,000 invoice is going to cost you a whopping $550 for 95% coverage. Under the STEP program, you're going to get 80% of that back, which basically means that now that $100,000 invoice that I'm going to have your back for 95%, it's going to cost you $110. That's dinner at St. Elmo's. That's a steak dinner something. $110 on $100,000 insurance, or $100,000 invoice. So in that premium rate, it goes up as the longer the receivable is out there. If the receivable, instead of 60 days, it's 90 days, that's a little bit more expensive. If it's 180 days, a little bit more expensive. But at the end of the day, 80% reimbursable under the STEP program is phenomenal. It makes a program that is very, very affordable to begin with. It makes it extremely affordable. When you're talking about the 80% reimbursement. I'm going to shut up. I've talked enough. I'm going to pass it over to Mark Cooper, but just kind of we are excited about being able to participate in the STEP program this first time, and happy to talk with anybody and run through all kinds of scenarios if insuring your foreign accounts receivable is something you want to talk about.
Thank you, Mark Klein. We appreciate your comments. It's great to hear from you, and it's great to learn about all the programs that EXIM is doing. I'm trying to find my PowerPoint to bring it up here, and that might work here in a moment, but having a little lag. But I want to make sure that everyone knows that also in the chat, if you are interested, there are notes in the chat right now that you can actually take a look at, and we'll be able to see that. Can someone just let me know if you can see my slideshow?
You're good, Mark.
Okay, great. I'm gonna try to start that. I'm having just a little lag problem here. So, okay. And hopefully that will eventually pop over for everyone. And someone, can you tell me if it's coming up?
You're good to go.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So my name is Mark Cooper again, as I described a few minutes ago. I'm the director of the U.S. Department of Commerce here in Indiana. My job is to help Indiana companies export. For many of my partners on the program today, and for folks out there, I've been around for a long time and part of the local business community here in Indiana. We are a worldwide resource for you to connect you to global markets. We have in my staff, Eric Hunt is a former foreign service officer with 35 years experience In fact, we joke, Eric's just been in the United States a couple years now, having spent almost 30 years overseas. So yeah, he's been posted in Turkey, in Germany, in Korea, in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait. So he has a lot of experience there. My colleague Scott worked for a division of commerce called Export and Compliance. He did anti-dumping and countervailing duty issues for many years. And so we have got the gamut covered for here in Indiana, and we believe that we are a resource to you here, and we want to tell you a little bit about that. The things that we do, we believe that the world is open indeed for your business. And so we provide export counseling. We partner with the IEDC, the SBDC, and the other partners on the line here to tell you and help you understand what market should I be going to? Where should I focus my efforts? What should we do to get into these markets? And are there any pitfalls or barriers that might impact our advance? We do help with market intelligence. We have a lot of market resources and market intelligence that's free from the U.S. government that can help you. Some of the things that we're most known for, of course, is business matchmaking. We have a primary and premier service called the Gold Key Matchmaking Service, which can help you find partners in many of these foreign markets. We're connected to over 100 embassies around the world, U.S. embassies, that can help you find partners, resources, and agents and distributors. We also work on commercial diplomacy issues. If there's a problem in these markets, if there are obstacles to trade, if there are trade barriers that you know about that you want to share with us, we're there to help you and put the resources of the U.S. government to your benefit. Why exports matter is because more than 70% of the world's purchasing power is outside the U.S., and our competitors are constantly increasing. We know that we have to go and be global in order to be effective in this interconnected world. So we want to make sure that we give you all the tools, and that's a part of the benefit of this webinar today, that we are marshaling state, federal, and all other sector resources to help you be connected and help you compete and win in the global economy. You could see up here in my corner slide that we have 300 trade specialists across the U.S. We have 1,250 foreign service officers around the world. The example in the right-hand corner is Ford Meter Box. We helped them with a sale in Vietnam for over $1 million. We can do that for them. We can do that for you. Our mission is to help grow U.S. exports and to create jobs. We are the biggest trade promotion agency in the federal government. We have worldwide recognition, and we are the frontline trade promotion organization of the federal government. We've already told you about the over 80 to 90 countries we're in. We're probably in more than that. And we are results driven. We wanted to help you succeed, and that's how we succeed as well, is by sharing your story with the world of how you've grown and how you've expanded globally. So that is basically, in a nutshell, our mission. We want to be your partner, and we want to work with you with these partners that are on the screen today and in this webinar today to help you go global, because we believe that this is a great opportunity, and we want to be a part of that, and we want to be a part of your success story. So I want to thank you for the time today, and I'm going to turn it back, hopefully, to our next speaker, and I'm going to turn it over to Morgan to share her presentation, and I'm going to try to stop sharing right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. And while I get my presentation pulled up, I just want to apologize if you can hear the random beeping in the background. I don't know what is happening in our office, but hopefully it's not coming through on your end. Can someone confirm that they can see my screen?
You're good.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can see.
Thank you all. First, I just want to thank the Indiana District Export Council for hosting this event today. We love partnering with their organization and the service providers on the call today, so really fortunate and thankful to be joining you all. So as Mark mentioned, my name is Morgan Allen. I am the Small Business Program Manager for the Indiana Small Business Development Center, or SBDC. You have heard a few people mention us already, but I just want to quickly go over who we are, what we do. So the Indiana SBDC is a part of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, so the same organization that Roger works for. I used to just sit 2 cubes away from him. But the Indiana SBDC provides no cost and confidential advising and training for Hoosier small businesses and entrepreneurs in the state of Indiana. So over on the right, you can see that we serve all 92 counties. We have 10 regional offices that are providing service and over 70 team members throughout the state. We are available from start to finish with a business. So we like to say that we help Hoosier small businesses and entrepreneurs start, grow, finance, innovate, and transition. So everything from I have an idea and I don't know where to get started to I want to sell my business. But what we're here to talk about today are our export services. So we have gone over a ton of information today, and we understand that it can be really overwhelming. So we offer export specialty advising services to help fill that knowledge gap. You don't need to be an expert on all of the resources talked about today. That's why we're here. So our team of export advisors, we have over 10 throughout the state. Every single region has one. And then Andy Reinke, that you heard from earlier, is actually a statewide specialty export advisor for us. But they provide that no cost and confidential export advising. So you can see some of the services that includes, but our primary purpose here is to help you navigate the ecosystem and the resources that are available and leverage it to meet your needs. One program in particular that I would like to highlight is the Export Indiana Accelerator Program, or EIAP. We love our government acronyms. But EIAP is a 12-week no-cost program that helps small businesses develop an executable export business plan. So if you go through EIAP, and I think we have a few past participants on the call today, you get to work with Andy Reinke that you heard from earlier for 12 weeks to walk through what we call the 8 core steps to develop that export business plan. This program is available to both new and existing exporters. We found that the best participants either are accidental exporters, so they've gotten sales, they've shipped product before, but they don't really have a process in place for how to think strategically about including exporting in their business. And also the people that have received international inquiries in the past, but have never actually exported product. Those are our 2 best markets. However, if you don't have any export experience, you're still welcome to apply. This is quite a time commitment. So for those 12 weeks, we do expect participants to spend between 2 to 4 hours a week on developing that export business plan, because we want to take you from point A to point B so that you're actually exporting by the end of the program. And our partner that we'll hear from right after me, Christine Everett from IU Cyber, will talk about some of the resources available to help alleviate some of the workload through EIAP and just exporting in general. We did open this application last week, so we run this program once annually. The application is currently open and closes March 15th. Just like InStep, it is required that you become a client of the Indiana Small Business Development Center in order to participate. So there's no cost to you. You've already paid for it through your tax dollars, so you might as well take advantage of us. So I recommend that you go to our website, isbdc.org/EIAP, to learn more about the Export Indiana Accelerator Program and some of our other export services that are available. I will also drop my contact information in the chat, but I look forward to hearing your questions, and have a great day, everyone. And I will turn it over to Christine Everett from IU Cyber.
Thanks so much, Morgan. So I'm going to bring up my slides. All right, I hope everyone can see that. It's always the fun part of doing this because you lose your viewing.
We can see it, Christine.
Okay, perfect, because I can't see anything now. So that's always the fun part of doing this. So as Morgan said, I'm with the Indiana University Center for International Business Education and Research, which is why we go by Cyber for short. And I like to joke that we were actually Cyber before cybersecurity and any of that actually started. We are a national resource center funded by the U.S. Department of Education based on the IU Bloomington campus. But again, we're a state and a national resource center. So let's see if I can get this to work. Sorry about that. There we go. So I have funding, which is why I got invited to participate in this. I'm just joking. It's great to be with so many resource partners here, but I do actually have funding. And these are really the key items I wanted to talk about today since we're short on time. And as Morgan mentioned, we are a resource partner with the Export Indiana Accelerator. And what that means is if your small business participates and chooses to hire an intern, we can help you offset those costs. So we can provide up to $4,000 to help offset the cost of hiring an intern to help you work through the Export Accelerator program. We've worked with a number of small businesses throughout the state, and they've had a lot of success hiring interns. We've even had one of the small businesses that turned around and hired their intern as a full-time employee, which is always great to see. So that is the first opportunity and resource that we provide. We also provide funding to help you hire an intern, even if you're not going through the Export Accelerator program. So if your company is already exporting and you need some additional help with that process, or if you're thinking about exporting and you want to hire an intern to do some research, we can help you offset those costs as well, up to $3,000 for that experience. The other piece that we do that's really exciting, and this is proof that IU and Purdue actually do work together, we partner with Purdue's Export Tech program, which is hosted by the Purdue Manufacturing Export Partnership program, I believe, but Joe McMurray is your contact, and Joe runs a program during the academic years that's similar to the Export Accelerator program, and that it's a STEP program. And so we can also help offset the costs of participating in Joe's program, and there's an additional benefit of we can also set your company up to work with the team of students from the Indianapolis Kelley campus. So that's another exciting program. If you're interested in Export Tech, which again is hosted during the academic year, so typically September through May, Joe McMurray is your contact. And then our final program is our SME International Experience. So this is similar to the Indiana STEP program, but more limited resources, I guess is a good way to explain it. So if your company is interested in participating in a trade show, whether that be internationally or domestic with an international focus, we can help offset some of those travel expenses. So those are the four programs that we have. Additional information on all the programs can be obtained by contacting cyber@indiana.edu. Two of my colleagues are also on the chat today, and so and one of us will follow up with you if you have any questions. So thanks so much. And I think now we're turning it over to questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Christine. That's a great presentation, and it's good to know from all of our perspectives on the panel that there are just a plethora, as it were, of resources available to you as an Indiana business, a small business specifically, to help you export and take your products globally. So we have a great resource here, and so we'd like to open the floor up for some dialogue with our panelists. If you do have questions, we've had a busy chat area where Lindsay's been putting some of the resources in the chat box. But if you do have a question, we ask you to either raise your hand, or if you have a question you'd like to offer up in the chat, we would be delighted to either answer that for you or do our best to answer it. So this is that time right now. If you have a question, You can type it in the chat box, raise your hand, or we could potentially open your mic for a little more discussion. So we want to open that up if you have a question.
And while we're waiting on questions to come through, I did want to mention something that I don't think was mentioned yet, but for the InStep grant program and IU Cyber, both the programs, and Christine, tell me if I'm wrong, but both programs can be used in conjunction with each other, so long as it isn't double dipping on an expense. So that's one thing we allow. Food Export Midwest, they do a lot for agricultural exporters. Again, they have export resources available. Happy to partner, make sure we can get you the fullest extent possible. So wanted to make sure you don't have to choose one program or another, that you can actually use more than one, but you can't use it to pay for the same thing. But so wanted to throw that out there because there's a lot of resources, and wanted to make sure that was clear. So.
Oh, that's a great point, Roger. And your Indiana SBDC advisor can help you navigate all of these resources that are available and figure out how it is most beneficial for your business to package everything together. So I strongly encourage that you talk to your SBDC advisor if you're interested in any packaging.
So you can tell from the panels here today that we have resources to help you find the market. We have resources to help you access the market. We have resources for all of these areas. Yes, go ahead. I thought someone was asking a question. I don't want to interrupt that. But I think the important point for us is to make sure that everyone knows that from start to finish, or as my mother would say, from soup to nuts, from the exporting process, we have you covered, and we want to make sure that you know that. We also want to be respectful of everyone's time. We're going to try to end at the top of the hour. So if there are no questions at this moment, I want to turn the floor back to Andy Reinke, who is our Indiana District Export Council Chair, and ask him to tell us any type of closing comments on behalf of the Indiana District Export Council, and to mention once again our next program.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Andy, it looks like a question was dropped in the chat, and I think it's good for you to answer as well.
Okay.
They were asking if future Lunch and Learns are going to be a replication of today's, very similar to today's.
It's going to be, we're gonna pivot and do different programs, all related to trade. It's going to be sometimes Indiana focused, sometimes it's going to focus on Germany, Japan. In March 17th, our next Export Lunch and Learn will focus on the European Union and the new changes coming down the pike for the directives of the CE mark. And we get a lot of questions on changes that the CE mark is going through in 2022, and as things change, we want to make sure that you're aware of that. And that's a good question. And yes, will the slides be sent to everyone? I think that will happen. It'll also be posted on our website, the Indiana District Export Council website. Towards that effort.
Let me suggest this, Andy. If people who would like the slides, please send an email to me. That might be easy. Just to send me an email, say, hey, I would like X slides or whichever, and I can make sure that either you get the copy of the recording, which may be simpler, or you get the specific slides if you want a specific set. How about that? That will make you go to one person, one contact.
Yep, mark.cooper at trade.gov.
That's me.
Yep. And well, today's, again, thank you to all the speakers. You did an excellent job. It's a phenomenal partnership with all of us. I enjoy working with all of you thoroughly, and we'll do so going forward in 2022, of course. And as I mentioned, today's webinar is going to be focused and posted rather on our new DEC website, which goes live tomorrow, indianadec.org. We've completed a new website, which encapsulates all the agencies that we heard from today and others, including the India Business Council, connecting to the Japan America Society Council, America China Society, Indiana Germany Business Council. So it's a large web database a large website that includes information, links to the U.S. Department of Commerce, trade.gov, IU Cyber, and again, those different agencies, including ISBDC, links to Export Tech and the Export Indiana Accelerator Program. So I'll be posting this, we'll be posting this webinar on that new website. And if you'd like to see what the new website looks like now, it's not posted yet. It's indianadec.net. And tomorrow it'll be changed back over to our existing site, indianadec.org. So let us hear from you relative to the question earlier about what topics to include and what topics to cover. If you have a topic you'd like to hear about, let us know. Send information to Mark Cooper, and online there will be a form to submit that on the new website. So let us hear from you.
Thank you, Andy, and we want to say thanks again to everyone. I hope that this has been very informative for the exporting community. We want to be your resource partners and help you to succeed in the global economy. So we hope you found this information useful. Please feel free to reach out to any of us if you have questions or comments, and you can reach me again. My name is Mark Cooper at mark.cooper@trade.gov, and I can relay any type of information forward to our panelists. I want to say thank you again for everyone that's joined, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mark.
Bye now.
Thanks.